Even just before we cut to commercial break, that drone caught him running down the pathway, and just the cheers from the beach to see the grommet running down, waving the Japanese flag. That was such a cool moment, knowing that he was just laying in the doctor's tent a moment ago, not sure that he could even walk. And there he is. He's already up and riding. First wave of the heat. Nice, beautiful drop knee cutback. I mean, he looks okay. Let's hope that he's okay throughout the remainder of this heat. Throws in some variety already. I mean, his mind is as sharp as ever to be able to surf this way at that moment. How tight was that footwork coming through to the inside? I just feel like right now he's carrying the momentum of the crowd with him.
I think it was all a stunt. I think it was a stunt.
He's such a cheeky little kid. He's always got this little grin on.
I think it was all strategy. It was all just planning it. It was all about coming out guns blazing, making everybody think he was going to not turn up, and then he just out there 100 miles an hour, straight out back, catches a wave, kicks off with a score. Kai Sallas has already dropped to 1.77, 26 minutes, 41 seconds remaining. Here's Taka's first wave. There we go. Sets himself up with great flow, a beautiful drop knee turn, looking for that pocket, stalling, slowing with this cross step turn, and again a nice setup there, and there's those steps up to the tip, a beautiful soul arch 10, and all of those footsteps back to the tail in a smooth flowing blast off the top, and a score ready to be dropped for Taka.
Who is this kid? That was ridiculous. Maybe he was just throwing Kai off. Put Kai on edge,
He's the reigning Japanese longboard champion. He's 18 years old, and he's absolutely explosive. Watch out, world. Taka Inui is here riding those Piccolo Clemente longboards.
So great. Oh, man. So strong paddle out. Scores coming through. It's nothing too exciting. It was a smaller kind of inside wave, but it's putting him in the mix and on the board, getting his feet into the wax, as it's always nice to do at the start of the heat. Kai Sallas, he's sitting really far out the back, though. He's going to be patient. He saw that big score come through for Justin, for Chloe on the left on those big sets. Kai Sallas, I feel like that's maybe what he's going to be waiting for. What are your thoughts on, some strategy going into this, Sam?
Yeah, of course, seasoned competitor. Kai Sallas, he would have studied all of those semi-finals for the women's, that first semi-final for the men's, but he'll also be willing to be flexible, recognizing the shifting, changing beach break conditions here at Pantin in Galicia. But right now we got live action as Kai Sallas has a look. Is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? Sets himself up on the right hand, a quick up to the tip, holds that on a long 5 into the soul arch, steps back to the tail, readjusts, look for the nose ride option, but comes low, and again a beautiful setup speed check turn there, moving up to a nice trim point, and 2 steps back up to the tip onto the 5, and pulls a long quick 10, sorry, maybe like a kind of medium length 10, but still going. And Kai Sallas all the way to the inside. Shannon, great ride for the Hawaiian.
Oh, I love it. Great wave selection, really fun looking out there, and yeah, he's going to feel really good to put that one on the board. He's now got a really long paddle back out, hopefully not stepping on any of those little weaver fish that are in the lineup.
Is there any such thing? Is there anything as a long quick 10?
Yeah, that was a really good analogy, Sam.
So medium would be about right, but it was a good nose ride through the inside. But everything about Kai there, he was reading that wave beautifully, but right now live action, Taka having a look. He doesn't catch that wave. He drops a 4.10 for his opening ride. Kai Sallas with a 1.77 and a 1.07, now waiting for his first important score to drop. 24 minutes, 4 seconds remaining. We've just seen Justin Quintal book his spot in the final. Earlier today, we saw Chloe Calmon win the first semi of the women's, and Honolulu Bloomfield win the second semi. They'll be coming up in the women's final after this.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting. Back-to-back finals for those two women coming off of the World Tour event in Noosa earlier this year. Kai Sallas straight onto that hang 5. Nice little bit of elevation coming out of it. Great rail work. Setting himself up on that high line once again. I like that little read. Just kind of now draws the low line, setting himself up for this inside section. Really good rail-to-rail work. Really good change of direction use into that hang 10, that really long, quick hang 10. And a little check on the inside as well. And then sets up for one more nose ride before hitting the sand.
Riding a 9.7, Kai Sallas. A 5.33. He's out in the lead. And right now, having booked himself a spot in the men's final, we're going to go to an interview with Justin Quintal.
Congratulations, Justin. That was a well-fought heat right down to the end.
Yeah, it started off slow, and I definitely did get a little nervous in that heat. I just wasn't sure, was gonna happen. The swell was pretty big this morning, and now it's dropping a lot, and the tide's coming in, so it's changed quite a bit. So I think it's going to continue to change heat to heat.
It's a big playing field out there. Go get some rest. You've got a big final coming up.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Good luck. Back to you guys in the booth.
For that interview being quite short then, because of course Justin's got to get his head together because he's got this final coming up. He just needs to stay in the shade, hydrated, keep the energy levels up, the excitement, and also recognizing that need to adapt to the changing conditions. We had a lot of juicy swell on the low tide, but the decision was made to run through this high tide just to facilitate that more open face peeling waves, which is going to be much better for longboarding. Great decision from the contest organizers here at the Galicia Longboard Classic.
Yeah, really loved that call to just hold off this afternoon. It gave everyone some time to get in the water this morning, have a little sleep in, get some extra rest coming into finals day, which is always really good. Kai Sallas has a look at that one, decides not to go. Taka, he's now made his way out to the back line. I think that second wave he had a quick paddle for was on the inside, so he's now getting himself right out in the back of the lineup. He'll be looking for some more decent sized waves coming through. Kai Sallas now taking a look. He's under priority, so it's okay for him to take those paddles. There's no risk to lose it.
21 minutes, 26 seconds remaining. Kai Sallas out in the lead with a 177 that he needs to drop as soon as possible and a 5.33. So Taka would have just lost his priority then. So priority is now back with Kai Sallas, and definitely difficult for the surfers to really navigate where to sit because some of those bigger sets look like they're going to break further out, but a lot of them now with this rising tide actually breaking a little bit further in.
Yeah, it's a really interesting lineup to read. I mean, that was a mistake for Taka as far as priority goes, but it's hard to tell what waves are really going to facilitate a decent score. Kai Sallas, again, that's his third paddle without taking off on something. Honolulu Bloomfield, she's coming up next.
And Kai just lost priority again there, so now the priority would have switched to Taka, who's up and riding on the nose, pulls up for the 10, hangs in there in the pocket, stretches back for the 5, stays on with the soul arch. You can hear the audience hooting and cheering, back up for another 5, sets himself up again for one more 5, stretches out a little bit out on the shoulder, losing the flow, the speed, because he's a bit wide of the pocket, but Taka Inui getting the locals and all of the traveling pros stoked. He is on. It's a 3:01 to go to first. So probably the kind of score that he'll get, of course. Maybe it's going to go substantially higher than that. But with 20 minutes remaining, Kai's going to be looking to drop that 177 as soon as possible and build on his strong score of a 5.33.
Well, long paddle back for Taka. That was a really decent looking wave coming through that middle nose ride section. Beautiful peeling rights out in the lineup today as we take another look at this from Taka. Nice calm steps to start off with, and then really quick to the nose, finding that perfect pocket in from that back of that section and cutting through it straight on the nose, sticks to that hang 5 after the hang 10. Couple steps back and a couple steps forward again to gain some speed coming through to the inside. This is where he loses that flow. I like that description, Sam. Having to pump that board, it means that you've lost the flow of the wave, that trim line, and that's an important thing to keep hold of while longboarding, but the work was already done.
Yeah, he didn't need to pump and hop and bounce in that section. He could have just accepted he'd run a bit wide of it, just pedal back, kick out. The 18-year-old regular footer riding the Piccolo Clemente surfboards from Miyazaki is waiting for his second score to drop, needing a 3:01 to advance. But it looks like Kai Sallas has also caught a wave. He's on the way now paddling out. So let's get a little bit of a replay of Kai's wave. Sets himself up, beautiful stall, looking left, goes left. 2 steps, 4 steps up to the tip. There's the 5, hangs nice and tight in the pocket. Footwork pedaling back, readjustment of the feet, and then using the drop knee turn to keep an eye on the right and the left. Trimming back in this left, but you can see all the time he's aware that there's going to be a rebound into the right hand and a really nice second drop knee turn. 4 steps back up with a good hold on the 5, back to the tail, and great flow and body language, and taking a nosedive there, but a lot of good action through for 90% of that wave. Would have been nice for him to just end with that flowing turn, but I think that a strong score will be delivered for Kai. Of course, it's going to build on that 1.77 and add a better total to that 5.33.
Yeah, that wave had a lot more bump in it, having a look through it, but Kai was able to stay kind of on that tail, weaving through, similar to the way that Justin was able to stay in the pocket on his 8-point ride in that one kind of mid section. Really important for these guys to stay in the pocket through those kind of transitional positions on the wave, especially when there are those flat sections on high tide. The pockets stand up really well. There's a great critical pocket for nose riding when the opportunity comes, but those setup sections, I feel like that's a really important factor to kind of gaining some higher points coming through. Scores dropping in now for last of Taka. It's going to come through as his highest wave.
So Kai Sallas' official score for that last wave not delivered. The judges looking at that video replay, but Taka Inui will get that score any second. He's sitting with priority, having a little look at this wave. Is Kai going to go for it? Taka's up and riding, sets himself up on the left-hander. 4 steps to a hang 5, pedals back, 4 steps back up to another hang 5 again, dropping the arms for a little soul arch, shuffles to readjust his feet, puts that Piccolo Clemente lightweight high rocket board on rail, rebounds again off the foam, moving quickly, 20 kilometers per hour with that little flighting statistics on his singlet. Kicks out, covered 143 meters there, as you can see by that little graphic on the bottom of your screen, and waiting, Shannon, for those last scores to drop of both riders. And Taka Inui actually now will be waiting for 2 important scores to drop.
Yeah, it's a really important part of that heat, kind of the turning point, putting the second decent scores on the board. Taka opening up with that 4.1. He's now got 2 scores to come through that should improve on that. And there it is, a 5.2 for last of Taka Inui, improving on that 4.1. And then Kai Sallas, his third wave was that 5.33, just a couple throwaway scores outside of that. But he's got a decent score to drop in as well. Taka setting up that high line on the left. Great touch to the hang 5, so no hang time, but then this second nose ride, pulling in for that really tight 5 to 10. Little bit of rail work.
Bit scrappy this wave. I think relative to the flow and the fluidity of that 4.1 and that 5.20, his first 2 waves, this a little bit more scrappy and perhaps not such a dynamic single maneuver in the mix. So I don't think it's going to go higher than his 5.2.
Yeah, it was bigger size, maybe had some more punch to it, but that flow factor was definitely missing, and I hope that the judges take note of it. Scores still to come through. Judges having a look at that replay. Beautiful little pan back view. The tide is pushed in, and we're on for a really good day for finals.
So it's that 4th ride of Kai Sallas that is the important one. If he gets a 3.97, he moves back into first position. 15 minutes, 15 seconds remaining, but Taka Inui, of course, also waiting to drop a score. Already got a 4.10 and a 5.2. I got the feeling that it didn't have the dynamic element of his other waves, but he's up and riding once again. 5-10, hold, pedals back, and hangs on to a really critical section and throws in that drop knee turn. This wave has still got more scoring potential as he uses the drop knee once again. Is there going to be a reform? He comes off the bottom, off the top, and hangs on. So that opening 5-10 and that hold and that drop knee turn, a lot of exciting action on the outback section there, Shannon.
He's just having so much fun out there. Look at that, checking back maybe to the judges, but maybe to Mom on the beach, his coach.
100%. I think there's the relationship he has with his mum is extremely important in the competitive career of this young regular footer from Japan. Now the judges really have got their work cut out. They've got 2 important scores to drop for Taka. They've got 1 important score to drop for Kai. For me, actually, that 4th wave of Kai I think is going to come in very strong, and I also think this could go into Taka's top 2.
Yeah, great hang 10 to start off with. Pedals off the nose, somehow manages to, let those fins grip the wave again. Goes for that drop knee cutback. Even that coming out of such a, heavy kind of fall through to go into the drop knee is really impressive, and then to get a clean finishing touch on things. Nice big kick out.
But let's think about control. That was something perhaps that was lacking. Red had a wave, Kai Sallas, whilst Taka was on that wave. And there it is, Kai Sallas from Hawaii with a nice 5.10. And look at the difference in control between those 2 nose rides. For me, Kai is demonstrating a much higher degree of control. And I think the judges are going to really, really reward that. This is an absolute smoker from Kai Sallas, and lands that and gives it a stoked fist pump. Kai Sallas, for me, that really has got to be the highest score of the heat so far.
Yeah, that's got to be it. So Kai Sallas drops in a 5.27 for that other score we were waiting for. So he's sitting in the lead with a 5.33 and a 5.27. Taka with a score to drop in that's not going to factor into his top 2. I can tell you that. It's a 3.5. And now Kai Sallas with the best wave of the heat by a long shot coming through.
Yeah, and that word control, let's come back to that. I think when we looked at Taka's really critical, guns blazing, hell for leather, 5 to 10. When he pedaled back so quickly, it was exciting because he just literally free fell down into the section and regained his balance. But I think that the element of control and the flow and the grace between those linking maneuvers is so important in the judging criteria, and that might be where Taka comes out with a slightly lower score on that ride than he might have expected. He drops a 3.5 for his third wave, but it was the fourth wave that we most recently have been studying and we're talking about, as Kai Sallas also waiting to drop a score for his sixth wave to add to that 5.33 and that 5.27.
Yeah, and I think for Taka, thinking about his surfing, he has all the kind of the really critical things down. He can nose ride really well. He's great on the tail, really good variety of types of turns. I think to smooth things out, though, I'd really like to see him on a board that's just a little bit heavier. He's a really small, compact guy, but to put a little more weight under it, a board that would cut through these kind of bumps a little easier and give him some time to really work on getting that weight in the right positions. Similar, maybe not nearly as big as what Kai is riding. Kai's, body size, he's a lot taller and a lot stronger than what Taka is, but what he's riding, it allows some really smooth surfing in these kind of conditions.
So waiting for that score to drop from that sixth wave for Kai Sallas, live action. Again, the Hawaiian having a look, sets himself up, looking to the left, 2 footsteps. Is he going to go for 4 to the tip? 4 cross steps up to the nose. Nice, long hold on the hang 5, little soul arch, pedals back with 4 clean steps, uses a little subtle drop knee, but more of a conventional setup again for the nose ride. Looks like he's going to have to kick out of this one, end that ride, but that could well be an important score. Waving at the judges just to get the situation. He doesn't know his score for his 6th ride, so he's really keen to find that out before he paddles back out. Live action, Shannon Takenui.
Yeah, really, 2 big steps to the nose, 6 steps off the nose, though. I really like that finite finish, getting to the nose quickly to make sure you capitalize on the critical moment, but then those really tight steps coming off the nose. Just a quick kick out, that's not going to factor into his top 2. Great decision competitively, though, to get out to backline and maintain priority.
So waiting for a score for Kai Sallas of his 6th wave, and also now waiting for his 7th wave. For me, that 6th wave of his was one of the stronger rides of the heat. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes in at the highest score of this semi-final. 2 scores waiting to drop for Kai Sallas in the red, and 1 score waiting to drop for Taka Inui in the blue. Kai Sallas drops a 6-1-0 for that 6th wave. There's 1 more score. I felt like that could have gone a little bit higher. I really like the control, but it's kept him in the driving seat. He's in first position with Taka Inui needing a 6-2-3 to book his spot in the final.
Kai Sallas with a long paddle back out to the lineup. Taka having a look on something maybe more on the inside. You can see those swell bumps, those waves coming through at the kind of the top section of the screen, and there's definitely a little set on the horizon. Taka is sitting with priority, but he now has a bigger requirement, that 6.23 on the board, 9.5 minutes on the clock. Coming up next, the women's final.
Yeah, wow, that's
so
going to be
exciting.
An absolute beauty. Chloe Calmon from Brazil against Honolulu Bloomfield from Hawaii. The same matchup that we saw at the first event of the Longboard World Tour in Noosa.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, Taka seems to be pretty healthy out there. I don't know what the stunt was that he was pulling, but he looks like he's right back in the mix. Thankful for a great medical team behind the scenes to really just keep our athletes in top form, and to see Taka with a late paddle out, but he's really been active in the lineup. He's got some great footwork going on.
So the judges have caught up with everything now, and Kai Sallas drops a 5 for that last ride. So it was that 6-1-0, that long right-hander with really good control on the nose ride and beautiful flowing drop knee turns. Great essence of the kind of longboard repertoire demonstrated by Kai Sallas. Some judges giving it a 7, some in the high 5s. The average taken came out at a 6-1-0. Adding to that 5-3-3, Kai Sallas has got that heat total of 11.43. Taka Inui has got a 5.20 and a 4.60. So he needs a 6.23 to advance to the final. 8 minutes, 14 seconds remaining. Strategy now going into this very end section of the semi, Shannon.
Yeah, there's still enough time for maybe 2 or 3 more sets to roll through the lineup with 8 minutes. So there could be that kind of change up. I keep saying it again, it's about wave selection out there on days like this. Some of those inside waves, some of them have a good pocket, but we've seen the scores going to those kind of bigger, better ones out the back. The lefts and the rights, I think, kind of equally. So you can see Taka there just having a paddle up to kind of even maybe just let Kai know that he's in his sights. He's just coming kind of in from around the back. He's going to paddle in on top of him. He's got priority, letting Kai know that he has that opportunity to take off on the best wave that comes through.
And what a great experience for the 18-year-old to be in the semi-finals here at the second event of the Longboard World Tour, the Galicia Longboard Classic in Pantin in northwest Spain, as we move into the last 7 minutes, 20 seconds, and the Japanese surfer needing a 6.23 to get that spot in the final.
Yeah, look at these little lines starting to come through. It's a gorgeous day here in Pantin, and a lot of the QS competitors warming up for tomorrow's start. The women's QS 10,000 gets underway bright and early, so a lot of the women are around. They're cheering on the longboarders, but they've also been spending a lot of time in the lineup.
I've seen some big names. I felt like getting my autograph book out because I've seen some really famous surfers here ready to start competing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's really great to have so many of the girls in the mix. We'll have like a Philippa Anderson, Paige Harrop, who's currently on the championship tour. Isabella Nichols has been in town with her coach, Kurt Jacobs, for a few days. She's currently sitting at the top ranking for the qualifying series. She could be very likely looking at her rookie year on the championship tour next year after a couple of really huge finishes so far. And a little bit that's going on behind the scenes from just the surf.
And this is the skate ramp in the contest arena there with all of the restaurants and the music, the bars, the energy. There's a really beautiful gathering of wave riding and skate culture here on display at this beautiful festival of surfing in Galicia. And you can see as the Saturday crowd develops, there's more and more people sitting on the cliff edge there watching the action across the Atlantic as we continue with this second semi-final with Kai Sallas and Taka Inui fighting for a spot in the final to meet Justin Quintal.
6 minutes on the clock. Such a beautiful setup. It's going to be a really tight one for anyone coming up against Justin. I feel like the kind of anxiety factor that can come with going up against a name like that, who is Justin just manufactures scores during heats. Sam, if you had to paddle out against Justin in the final today, what would be your strategy?
Well, I think both of these surfers, I think they're going to be, they've got to get through this first and they've got to get to that final. I don't think any of them are worried about who they're meeting in the final. They're concentrating on their equipment and the conditions, and they're wanting to make sure they get themselves in the place to get the best sets and strike early and strike hard on those peaky sections, because if you get yourself in that right takeoff zone out here in Pantin, you really got that critical pocket to attack early on, whether it be something from the rail tail or whether it be something from the nose. And Shannon, there we can see Chloe Calmon from Brazil getting herself ready to paddle out for the women's final.
Oh, so exciting. She's just put on such a beautiful show. She had that 9.17 as her opening ride of the semifinal. It set her up to soar to victory, and hopefully she's able to channel something similar coming up against Honolulu at Bloomfield. It's going to be a great matchup once again for the second event of the World Longboard Championships.
Do you think it's going to make a difference that Chloe surfed in the first semi? She's had a little bit more time to relax, to prepare for the final?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the advantage. I mean, we heard Honolulu in her interview, her post-heat with Wingnut, saying that she was really tired. It was a lot of paddling, more paddling than she's really had in a lot of heats recently. So for her to kind of, not have as much time to reset, to catch her breath, to be able to just sit down and relax, to clear her mind, I think Chloe might have a little bit of an upper hand from that side of things.
And how do you think those women who finished in equal third will be coping, Justine Dupont and Rachel Tilley?
Yeah, I mean, a third place finish is incredible. It's the semifinals. I think for a surfer, any surfer, to make it into finals day, being the quarters or the semis, it's an excellent result coming out of any event of this caliber. So I really hope that they're, carrying themselves with pride, reassess what happened, rewatch those heats, and learn from their mistakes within it. It's that drive of them wanting to make it into the finals, it's going to make them a better surfer. So taking things away from it, but a really great performance from the both of them.
But that's got to sting, getting that third. They want to be here right to the final, putting on a show, winning that prize money, giving themselves better chance of becoming 2019 World Longboard Champion. As we see live action, Shannon Taka Inui back up on the nose, chasing a 6.23.
So nice opening nose ride, pumping along here. So putting that force into action, that's what he needs to eliminate from his surfing right now.
Didn't need to pump there whatsoever, but good setup on the tip time early on. Pedal back, started the pump, realized there was no opportunities there, dismounts. He's got 2 minutes, 55 seconds remaining. 6:23 required to move into the final. Kai Sallas in the lead with a 5:33 and a 6:10. He'll be out there with priority again. Kai Sallas now in that second semi. If he wins, and he's got a little bit less time to prepare for the final, is that going to have an impact?
Yeah, I think, as we take a look at this recap here, that beautiful hang 5 to hang 10 combination, just cutting his way through. I love that he was able to hang on a true hang 5 throughout that entire line without having to pedal all the way back. Set himself up coming into this kind of frothy session again, but finding a really nice line, gaining that speed and power to the inside.
And that came right off the back of Taka's critical nose ride. And for me, Kai had so much more control on the nose, so that's why the score coming out so much higher. This was his 5.33. So the first ride we saw there was the 6.10, his later higher score, and this the 5.33. Kai Sallas, I don't think he's peaked yet. I think he's going to get in the final and really peak in the final.
Yeah, I would love to see that from Kai. We've seen some amazing performances from him in the past. That final finish to Steven Sawyer back in 2017 in Taiwan came through as second, but to see him take a win in an event like this would just be such an amazing thing.
So Taka Inui's footwork so quick and clean. There's that 5. Look at these sole arches, really stylish, arms low, and the acceleration as he stretched that foot back there and kept that board in trim and uses that footwork to step back up for another nose ride, and so quick on his feet.
Yeah, super quick on his feet. Great couple nose rides to start off with. Nice fast pocket. That wave maybe just lacking a little bit more size compared to, the wave that we saw from Kai Sallas, which came in just a little bit higher.
So Taka Inui in the dying minute now needs a 6.23. Is there going to be an opportunity with priority? Kai Sallas sitting real close to Taka.
He's going to not give him an inch. He can't let this kid catch a wave. Chasing a 6.23. We've seen Taka get some really decent scores in this event so far, so wouldn't put it past him to get something in that high, good range. Potential excellent depending on the wave that comes through, but Kai's not going to let him have an inch.
Kai schooling Taka there. I mean, Taka's 18, Kai's into his late 30s now, but still surfing as good as ever. 2019 could be the Hawaiians' year, but Taka having a look at this, needing a 6.23. 19 seconds remaining, sets himself up, goes left, 4 steps up to the tip, tight cross steps, tight footwork, hold on the 5, pedals back to the tail, hops and bounces and grabs that rail, hangs on to the edge, just hoping he's going to trim into a possible reform, but it doesn't look like there's anything left on that wave. But congratulations, Taka Inui. You could be so proud of yourself. What a great performance from the youngster from Japan, and the whole beach is hooting for him because they're so proud of this youngster.
What an amazing moment for him to have the whole beach here in Pantin in Galicia cheering on for the youngster. It's a great future hope for Japanese longboarding. So many great longboarders coming out of there, but then this man, Kai Sallas, into the final against Justin Quintal.
Yeah, great moment for Kai. I felt that his horizons were focused on that final from the get-go from this competition. You can kind of sometimes see from the mood and the energy around Kai when he's going to have a big result. And of course, after that bitter taste of not winning the world title last year, losing to Steven Sawyer in that final in Taiwan, he knows he's got to give everything in this final here to get a stronger chance of winning the 2019 WSL World Longboard Championship.
And he's just such a legend in the world of longboarding. So for a kid like Taka to have gone against him in a semi-final at an event of this caliber is such an amazing moment for those two coming together.
You can see that big square tail, that 9/7 single fin that Kai is using as he walks up towards the crowd here at Pantin in Galicia as we get ready for the women's final. Chloe Calmon will be surfing against Honolulu Bloomfield Shannon. That's going to be an absolute smoker.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, Chloe had... do you think there's any potential that Chloe's already peaked given her semi-final performance?
I think she had that amazing 9 early on, and then she wasn't so happy with the rest of her semi, so I think she's hungry to kind of pick up where she started with that 9, and I don't think she's peaked, and I don't think Honolulu has peaked. I think that both of the women are really going to be on fire.
and the hunger of Honolulu to take the win away from Chloe as Chloe took it from her in Noosa.
So that's official. Kai Sallas with an 11.43. That 6.10 and that 5.33 books himself a spot in the final with Justin Quintal from Florida. Taka Inui with a heat total of 9.80, that 5.2 and that 4.60. He gets a third place finish, but he can be proud for that brilliant performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. We'll be right back with the women's final here at the Galicia Longboard Classic.
I just ran all the way from Bells Beach to tell you that the king is back. Grom, grab my board. Surfers from Australia have banded together. I think surf booties are cool.
You are a certified badass.
What's up, Chris Cote here with some breaking news.
Literally.
Have you seen the clip? Boom!
Chris, can we get some more news, please?
Using plastic at our events has always been the norm. Recycling helps, but most plastic still ends up here, or worse, here. Plastic never goes away, because with plastic, there is no away. At the rate we're going, by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. It's a deep problem, but there are steps we can all take. By cutting out single-serve plastics at our events, we can start turning back the plastic tide. This is our commitment for a stronger ocean. What's yours?
Welcome back to jubilant scenes here for Hawaii's Kai Sallas. And he'll make the walk up back and get his prep ready for the final. We're going to try and hear from him. A little brief chat from our Hawaiian as he takes his congratulations from his crew. And really just turn the screw towards the midpoint of their semi-final. But our attention will, of course, turn back to the women. And we've got an absolutely scintillating matchup in the water. Chloe Camon, the Brazilian, one of the outstanding surfers of men or women this week. Honolulu blew herself really well in that semi-final. Paul Evans in the booth for the final, alongside Shannon Hughes, Robert Wingnut Weaver. Shannon, first of all, you must be really looking forward to this matchup.
I'm so excited. I love women surfing. I mean, men, they're okay. No, I'm a huge fan of both of these women that are in the lineup. Chloe and Honolulu, I love the way that they carry themselves. I love their surfing. They're such beautiful longboarders. And they have already matched up in the finals this year out at Noosa. So I think it's going to be a really interesting battle to see Hano's hunger to take the win away from Chloe, but Chloe's hunger to get her first world title.
It's really a fantastic matchup. It's going to be so exciting. Foot versus regular foot. They were in the final together in Noosa. We just
love, to do battle together, but it's a good-natured battle with these two.
Oh, absolutely. And disclaimer, I'm definitely going to end up in tears by the end of this, so it may be left to you guys to do all talking.
And in terms of conditions and the waves right now, would that favour either of our athletes more than the other?
Well, that left has been looking really decent, although Kai's big scores came from the right in that last heat, and the conditions, they just seem to shift like every 30 minutes. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. It's really interesting how quickly this shifts, and you just can't plan on it, but they both know that at this point.
All right, well, let's remind ourselves of some of those performances in the semi from our women. One of the highlights from earlier on, we're going to see their high scores and just see how they made it to the final, and this was the big headline here. This 917 win.
And this is that 917 that really set the tone for Chloe. It really gave her the confidence that she has going into this final. She was trying to figure out, how can I get the points that I need? And she just figured out how to find the wave. I mean, she admitted how lucky she was to be just in that right spot. But you take that luck and then you put your skill on top of it. And that's how she started out this heat, and she never looked back.
Yeah, that was just a really wonderful moment for Chloe at the start of that semifinal. It set her up in a heat that had a lot of pressure to it. Justine has come through as kind of, the underdog in this scene, and she was just knocking out the giants this week.
And this was the 5 from Chloe. Just backed herself up, smart surfing, didn't get too carried away with that excellent range score. Just found something else. Nice work on the nose early on. It was a much shorter wave from her, and nevertheless, it really kind of put the lock on this heat.
And I really like the way Chloe's, whole presentation has just become more and more refined. You just look at everything, the hand jive, the way that she smoothly goes through her transitions. It's really been fantastic. And here we've got Hano. They take a look at this wave. Nice nose work, real critical in the beginning. See how it kind of drops down, but it has no effect on her whatsoever. You know, as we were talking about, they're used to kind of bigger, lumpy, windy conditions out on the North Shore. So none of this, other than the temperature of the water, has put any damper on her spirits.
And that's what Kira Seal kind of, pounded home in the little interview that I did with her, is that this is just like home as far as the actual shape of the wave and that bumpiness for Honolua. So she's looking super comfortable. Really well-ridden wave coming through to the inside. Beautiful performance put on.
Yeah, and we like to kind of look into the different approaches, and Honolua does seem to just kind of been cruising her way through her heats. This was a really well-surfed wave as well. She dealt with a lot of meat and power out here.
And remember how tight this was with Rachel Tilley. I mean, it was within, a hair's breadth that it could have gone to either. And it was just whether each wave was going to transition through that middle and give you a chance for a higher score. And then to take that opportunity like Hano did and claim that higher score. So fantastic. I cannot wait for this to get started.
Yeah, just to keep that composure. I mean, having the pressure on you, have the wave come through, and then to actually be able to perform, knowing that there's so many eyes on you, friends and family tuning in from around the world, looking at things as the girls are there on screen getting ready to paddle out, but so many fans on the beach too. It's almost like an amphitheater here in Penton.
Yeah, definitely crowd swelling down here Saturday it's actually Saturday evening pretty much now. It's got a sort of an early afternoon feel, but it's actually much later. We're in our own sort of unique little time zone down here, but a big crowd down on the beach, sunshine pouring in. The waves have been pumping basically all week, and we're pretty much at the top of the tide. All that energy focused on that little triangle on the inside, so that gives us a much more kind of defined area to surf.
It definitely does, but the real challenge, and we've seen that, is actually that right after, if you finish a wave all the way on the beach, that impact zone really close to the cliff is gnarly. I mean, we've seen, giant grown men like Kai Sallas being thrown backwards. It's really brutal trying to paddle back out right off the beach.
Yeah, it really is. Even that first paddle out, as soon as your feet hit the water, to try and time it right to make sure that you don't get sucked over the falls, it can be kind of intense. But I love that intensity comes down to the final part of the wave, to see if a surfer can pedal back off some of those late nose rides, maybe 6, even 8 steps to the tail, to put that stomp down and be able to ride out smooth on the flats. It's really impressive. Really difficult thing to do.
So 35-minute final. Lots of opportunity for our athletes. No priority at the start of the heat. Any impressions as to who might be maybe trying? Anyone going to maybe try slightly harder to glean a little inside of these two athletes?
Absolutely, Chloe.
On your side.
I think Chloe wants to strike first in every chance that she can. It helps her get into the rhythm. I'll put $1 down saying that Chloe gets the first wave of this final.
I actually agree with that, because I think Honolua is so relaxed. I mean, she'll feel the pressure now, being that she's into the final and really wanting to taste that victory. But Chloe's got that really intense drive and that fierce competitive angle, where Honolua, she kind of gets in the space and just ends up winning, because she surfs so gracefully that she just ends up taking whatever she wants to.
We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Join us for the women's final live from Pantin, the Galicia Longboard Classic, right after this.
The crew here at the WSL are taking some major steps to protect our ocean. We're offsetting our carbon footprint, cutting out single-serve plastics from our events, and committing to leave every beach better than we found it. Because no action is too small, and if all of us pledge to do something every day, we can make big changes for the ocean and our planet. This is our pledge to stop trashing waves. What's yours?
Welcome back to finals day in Pantin. That beautiful drone shot there of your former world champion, Honolua Blomfield. Taken to the water, a packed crowd up on the hill there. One of the great iconic spots of European surfing in Pantin. We've had over 30 years of this competition. At this time of year, end of the summer, a little bit of a kind of Spanish end of summer festival, and the surf fans down here appreciate seeing athletes from all over the world, as we see our Brazilian surfer Chloe Calmont putting the leash on her left leg. Of course, she's a goofy foot. Has been favouring these little running left-handers. Nice little bowl through the inside. She'll be dialed in. She's been taking some good advice as well. And she'll be ready to battle in this final.
It is a really equally matched heat. Kind of, the Hawaiian school versus, the Brazilian school. But they both have such classic emphasis deep in there. This is going to be really fun.
And we've been speculating a little bit about those different approaches, the kind of more focused approach, the cruisier approach. One of the cool things about surfing, we talked about this kind of broad church on the longboard tour, is there isn't one that actually is the answer. Anything can work on the day. It's about being in tune with the waves more than anything else.
And who's going to be relaxed? You made the final, and that's always okay. We're here. So that pressure to get there. Now, do you get relaxed for this and just enjoy the 35 minutes, or do you think and focus and drill down?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I wish that we could just be right inside of their minds to know where they're kind of sitting at it. But I love that feeling of having made it to the final, and now knowing that they can put everything on the line, they can surf their hearts out, and there's nothing left to risk. There's nothing left to play safety for. All the risk